We are going live in 3, 2. Okay. I am apologizing to Olivia, to everyone. I had an appointment that I thought would end on time, and it did not.
Oh,
and
no
I am here
apologies.
now.
No
Okay.
apologies at all.
My voice quality is going to sound a little weird for a moment while I get my headphones in. I have to set my tablet up.
Oh, yes.
How are you doing today, Liv?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
Awesome.
And yourself?
I am. You know what? I want to say I'm fine because I'm actually doing, like that standard. I'm functioning and I'm not freaking out. Okay, but I'm not
Yes.
fine.
Oh, that's fair.
I'm not fine today.
Fine, but not fine.
Well, I am surviving. I am not
Yes.
losing my mind. I am not curled up in a. I saw a. It's not a Snuggie, but it's basically literally a cocoon today. The actual Pokemon merch where it's Now I forget the Pokemon's damn name, and I'm gonna get hated on this so much. That's the green Chrysalis.
Oh, yeah. Why I'm blanking on that too.
I know it's the second
confession, I'm not a big Pokemon person.
Fine.
I'm sorry, Sam. I'm failing you right now.
Metapod.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. Okay, there you go.
Metapod. Yay! I saw a Metapod cocoon. It's like somewhere between a blanket, a Snuggie, or just like a little thing you crawl inside of, zip yourself up, and you're just in it. I want
That kind of
right
sounds
now.
amazing. I'm not gonna lie. That sounds so cozy.
I do want that right now, but I'm not in the state of that's just where I'm at. I'm able to do things. If I can't draw, I can clean. Yeah.
Can still function in some form. Get that?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I posted a tweet. My headphones are in. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm going to double check my settings, make sure I'm on the right microphone. Voice and video.
Plan.
Got it. Okay. So, real quick, what am I drawing today? I'm drawing character references because I don't draw my characters enough. The ones
really
that aren't in
don't.
comics.
Really, even the ones in comics, you don't draw them outside of the
know.
comics, and that is a shame. I know you're busy, so I don't blame you. I'm just saying, it's a shame.
I know. I want to. I definitely want to. I have so many ideas.
Mhm.
But when I'm not actively doing pages or I'm managing to be in a state of mind where I can get myself to actively do pages, I'm like,
Mhm.
I can't draw today. My brain doesn't want to draw today. My brain wants to watch movies and walk in circles today. It's better lately.
Yes.
It is definitely better lately. I mentioned it to. You know what? I'm just gonna be transparent. I had a therapy appointment today because I'm new to medications. And I was just talking about how you know what? What's nice about it is even when I'm having a hard time with what I'm taking it for, I can still do things. Which is
good.
what they're for.
Definitely helps.
Okay. Poke Oz.
Yeah, I've been chatting with it.
Okay. Who should I start with? That's the question I should be asking.
That is a good question. Very good question. I have so many characters.
So many.
Oh, who you haven't drawn in a long time? Quinn.
Quinn?
Been drawn Quinn in a long time.
Forever.
It's been a very long time.
It's been so long.
Quinn, you drew Liam fairly recently, but not that recently.
Yeah.
Also be very good. Also got Seamus, or you could do Morgan. You could do...
I did a partial of Morgan a while ago that I wanted to add color.
True. Yeah, that's true. You did. You could color that.
I could color that.
Boy, it's already drawn. You just get to do some coloring. That sounds fun.
Yay! I have to finish her
Yeah.
legs because it wasn't a fully finished full body.
Oh yeah, fair enough. You draw Anders again sometime too.
I need to. Like I'm trying to work him into a running series, like like actually appearing. I need to. I need to get that
There you go.
down. I just can't decide what
Perfect.
series he's going to be in. Like anybody else who has so many different projects they're working on, but a lot of characters that just are so powerful in the character and you just love them so much that they manage to exist outside of any sense of canon or outside of their original canon. So you're like, you can exist anywhere. I want to put you in everything. Am I allowed to do
Yeah.
that? Like I know I'm allowed to do that. It's my shit. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. But
I'd say that's entirely fair.
but like Nikolai,
It's all your IP.
like Nikolai, for example, so far has 3 distinct canons that all of them are just as his canon as the other, and I don't know if it's like, is it a good, bad idea or just something cool and new to try, where I just write all 3 stories, and they're all canon.
No, I view it as being like the Marvel universe, where there's like multiverses, and each one is technically canon within their canon. So it's all valid. It's all your IP, so it's all connected in some way.
Oh, you know what? No, there's 4 canons now, because ever since D&D, he's had a 4th
Oh,
canon.
no.
Like that, I love.
That's his own canon.
Yeah, the backstory canon I give him when I play him in D&D, because I play him in D&D. And like that's actually probably the most exposure anyone has had to him is me playing him in the campaign.
It kind of makes me sad because I don't get to experience that. It's really fair.
But like,
that makes sense.
Like all the stuff I worked out for like him and his backstory and his story and stuff like that. I like it. Like it really, really works. The problem is that it doesn't work any more or less than any of the other things I've liked and have worked for him.
Mm-hmm. It just means he's a really versatile character. If you have that many different variations and they still all feel very solid. Any of them could be his canon.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm trying to find the sketch.
Good though.
Where are you? I'm having to go back to scans to try and find it. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
You found it.
My scan folder. Alright, so pictures, scans. I have a very disorganized, organized system.
Mm-hmm. One of those where the moment you try to actually organize it, I'm not sure if you can actually find anything because you know the chaos just well enough.
Yeah.
The general idea of things are. At least that's how I function.
Okay. I actually have to change the resolution, but I'm gonna. But it's not gonna be that big.
Aww. Morgan. Little gender girl. How long has she existed now? I was trying to think of when exactly you created her. Do you remember?
Let me check. Hold on.
I don't mean to distract us. I was just wondering if you happen to know.
I'm just making sure I've got everything situated here at right size. Let me check. I have all the old stuff in this folder. 2012. 2012. Wow.
Wow.
2012.
Right.
When did I
says
create
he can't. Yeah. Oz says he can't really hear you talking.
Oh no.
Volume's low?
Let me check. It shouldn't
I can
be.
hear you fine, but I don't know about with the stream.
Let me boost
I want to check that.
bit. Testing.
Now?
Like it says that I'm in the green. Technical difficulties that I barely understand.
Huh?
Let me check Discord. All right, voice connect. Good. Well, your sensitivity is picking it up. Output volume, maybe?
Says it just feels like your mic is really low. Like, do you have a manual volume on your actual mic?
Nope. How's this sound? Wait, let me fix.
Of course.
Testing. All right, how's this sound?
Me, messaging with him on WhatsApp because that's more immediate. I guess the stream is still a little. That's
Yeah. Oh no. Alright, what I can do is open the window in another tab
with him on WhatsApp because that's more immediate.
and try and hear it. I'm gonna mute desktop real quick, so Liv's gonna be quiet for a moment while I listen to something and no one else has to listen to double. Okay, well, I am back, and as far as I can tell on my end, my computer says everything is fine. And when I listen back to the stream, it sounds fine, so I wonder if it's a connection issue.
It very well could be a connection issue.
Ooh, wow, I just turned you up way loud. I'm turning you back down.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I am back, and
a connection.
as far as I can tell on my end, my computer. Okay, I
This
forgot to
is a tiny bit better.
Tiny bit?
Yeah.
Well, we're doing it.
Not sure what's wrong there.
I mean, I do have the mic like in the distance in front of me. Like it's about 1.5 feet away. But
Oh, that might be part of it, but
down at my screen.
You should be fine.
Yeah. I need to get a lapel mic, but everyone would hear me wrestling all the time.
Oh, yeah, that would be kind of. Yeah. Need like one of those with like a boom stand so you can position it down closer to your face. What you need.
Just go ahead and go podcast with it.
Yeah, totally.
My dad thinks I should start a podcast because they're actual quote getting good.
Oh dear.
Getting
big.
I'm sitting like
everyone has
a podcast, Dad.
I literally could name like 6 of my friends that have podcasts.
Lindsay has a podcast.
Everyone has a freaking. Does she?
Technically,
how did I not know this?
Technically, it is through it's the museum podcast because she.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I did know about that. I forgot about that.
But Lindsay has a podcast.
But that makes sense. That's for like work and business and stuff. That's not like something you do on the side as like a hobby. It's like I want to start a podcast.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like that's different.
With the amount of stuff I've got that I'm trying to do all at the same time, I would love if someone I knew had a podcast and I'd be that person who was the quote unquote guest who just showed up every week and didn't have to do any of the outside work because I don't have time for that.
But, I feel like being like a guest or like a partner where someone else like functions as the host, I feel like that would be different.
Yeah.
Like I like this because I get to just come and watch you do art while I just talk about shit, and you're the one that has to facilitate the actual stream. So
like I'm the one who's sitting there going, "Hold on, I'll be right there," and you're just texting me like,
problems.
Ready.
I'm just sitting. Exactly. I'm totally okay with that.
I'm trying to subtly text Olivia while talking to my
I'm
therapist.
so sorry.
I'm sorry.
I felt bad. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay.
Everything was fine. I grossly underestimated how long it would go. So it's my fault. It is my fault.
It is 100% okay. And if you were going to be late for anything, I feel like a therapy session is a damn good excuse.
Yeah, it's like he opened with like, so how are you doing? And I said, do I have to answer that question today?
That in and of itself is an answer. Especially after a week like this.
He did not have to ask me why.
Oh, I'm sure. I am sure.
Yeah.
How are you feeling after that?
You know what? I feel a little better. I got to yell it out a bit. I say that I yell a lot. I'm not actually like screaming at people, but when I get excited about something,
Your
my
volume goes up.
just goes up and up and up and up and up.
It
and
goes up.
I can't control it. I've tried so much. It's just something I can't control. I cannot control my volume. I cannot control my speed. I can't do it. So I warn people. I'm sitting there like, I promise I am not yelling at you. We may now continue this friendship.
It's not directed at you, I promise.
I know.
Passionate. That's pretty accurate. Usually tell when you're worked up about something.
Yeah. Why is standing positions difficult for me? Dynamic legs I can do, but just standing is always the hardest. Why is that?
It's so true though. Like, why is that? Just standing there, you have to like make sure that it looks somewhat normal, I guess, and even. I don't know.
So I'm just trying to give her a little lean back.
Yeah. For her.
And just every time I look at it, I'm like, there's something wrong. What is wrong here?
Perfectionist.
It's true.
It looks great.
I literally just moved it a pixel, and I'm happier. I moved it a pixel to make myself happy.
You know, whatever
That's
works.
how much I moved it. This is how much I moved it.
Jump.
So we're gonna bop that below.
Nice.
And do another pass or two to try and get her close up to the. I'm so used to doing my sketches. Like when I'm not streaming, all of my sketching is done in Photoshop. Like sketching, text, and all that's done in Photoshop. Whereas in Manga Studio is when I do my inking. Like that's when I do the more delicate stuff. So sketching in Manga Studio is weird because I'm so used to being able to zoom in more fluidly in Photoshop, where with Manga Studio you can't. I mean, you can, but I don't know how. Please don't tell me in the comments how, because I actually do. Sometimes I'll say something that's not actually a fact, but it's my way of avoiding saying the words. I'm too lazy to do it that way. Yeah, so it was very need I elaborate session today.
Yeah. What was his response to that? Like,
he said, understandable. Are you fine? He's like, it's completely understandable. It's very fair. These are all good feelings. Yeah. And then he was like, do you have anything unplanned or in mind to handle all of this? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna clean my house. I'm gonna draw. Like I told him about the stream. Is like I'm gonna get on the stream as soon as I'm done.
nice.
And
So he knows that. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming he knows what your occupation is, knows you're an artist and all that. But
yes, he does know.
Good.
Yeah, so he asks how that's going whenever I see him. He's like, "So how's the art and stuff going? Are you managing to keep creative and get stuff done?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. Thanks."
That's good. Good. Oz says that he thinks. Oh, sorry, real quick comment. He's from a non-artistic point of view. He thinks that just standing is hard. This just standing pose is hard. Just because it's not really something that happens. Like, standing always goes with some other action, even if that action is waiting in queue. It's still context. True.
Did I just discover? I discovered a shortcut. Oh my god!
Did you do? You do.
I learned that when I use the clicky thing on my pen, I can use the eyedropper. I just had to reinstall all of my software, so I've lost track of what every button does because I haven't.
Oh, you don't have all the mapping.
Yeah, I didn't set it back up the same way. I just needed it to work again because I barely used the button functioning anyway because I was just so used to after all the other tablets just going up and punching everything up here.
Muscle memory. Yeah.
Yeah. But when I tap the right click, it turns to an eraser, and it doesn't turn back to a brush until I click the brush. So why would I want that feature? I mean,
That's
cool, but
it doesn't really help in the long run.
yeah, and like when
Not really much of a shortcut.
Yeah. And when I started drawing digitally, I was used to if you could see the difference in progression between my traditional art and my digital art, there is a massive gap in apparent skill level because I was both still learning how to draw while still learning how to draw digitally. So it's like start at baby level of digital while taking like college level traditional art courses. Like I could, like I would in a pencil everything was fine, but I'd get on my little bamboo and everything would come out like, why doesn't it look right?
That is relate to that very much so.
Like it's mostly with like just for some reason things always look better when I do it by hand just because I know how to make the pencil do what I want on the paper more than
exactly.
There's always a little bit off in digital. There's always a little bit off. Even no matter how good I get it, which is why like Avibus was designed as a purely digital comic, so the style became very loose and cartoony. And
took that
Quarter, I try to keep it more traditional. Yeah, like I'm trying to use. I still have to draw mostly digital with Saints Quarter most of the time. So I'm kind of using that to push myself to get to the same level of the way I want things to look. I'm just kind of making sure her body proportions or everything are the way I want them now versus when I drew this. But just trying to get myself to the same level with that. But that one is supposed to look more like a. It's not realistic because it's just it's still a cartoon. But as you can see with this hand that like this done by hand of Morgan, like there's the little tiny things in the way I do her hair or the way I do like lines or folds and clothes and stuff by hand as opposed to digitally. It's like there's just such a difference there that I'm still trying to build up digitally.
I feel like it doesn't necessarily translate the same way, so yeah, it makes sense that it would be different.
Yeah. Like I have definitely been thinking about whether or not I will transition to eventually, once I'm caught up to where I want to be, to sketches with Saints Quarter being mostly by hand and then all the inking and coloring digitally because
That'd be cool.
I always I don't know if anyone else can tell. You probably can't even tell the difference between them, but I can. So I always like the pages that I sketched by hand first, and not even like a full sketch. I'll thumbnail it and I'll just sketch out like gestures and expressions and the way everybody's hair and clothes and stuff are by hand, like extremely loose, and then build it up digitally there. But like I always like the pages I do that way better.
Makes sense though, because then, like you said, you just connect better with the idea of sketching because you just have like complete control, basically.
Yeah.
It makes sense that coming out with that initial concept would come easier to you, sketching it out first, like fully realizing it in your mind's eye. before you actually get to inking and filling it out. So
Yeah. Because like, and I'll go back and forth between which sketching method, depending on like month to month, depending on how much work I'm doing in either one. Like there will be periods where I can't get an idea to work out on paper, or just depending on the idea, it just won't work out on paper. But when I work on it in Photoshop, where I can be moving things around and constantly redoing lines really, really quickly, it just comes out so much easier. Whereas with others, I just can't get it to look right digitally. So it's like, it does depend on the idea. So sometimes when a piece isn't working with me, I pick up my sketchbook and draw it traditionally instead, and immediately it's fine. Like I'm designing enamel pins for both the base goal and stretch goals for the episode 2 Kickstarter. When I was trying to do them digitally, it just wasn't working. Like I was trying so hard to get the swooshes and stuff right. One of them, like the base goal one. Well, actually, I haven't decided which one's going to be the base goal one. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I want the other one to be a secret until I can reveal it. Like I'm definitely going to reveal certain things in stages.
Keep things a surprise.
Okay.
Keep things as surprises are good.
Well, there's a lot of organic movement in both of them, and I was trying to get a certain swish line to work properly. I could not get it done digitally, which is weird because usually more organic swishy movement that works out better digitally, whereas more gritty rough detail works better in Sketch. Like if you're as fluffy as a character like Morgan, it's better that I sketch you by hand. Her hair barely ever looks right when I do it digitally. Like it always looks fine, but she ends up looking more puffy than fluffy, if that makes any sense.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, I could see that. Quite that because I feel like it's like a really soft sketch. It's kind of like that wispy fluff as opposed to more of that. I don't even know if puffy's the. I don't know. It's still fluffy, but it's a different kind of fluffy.
It's like it's like you read it as almost curly.
Yeah.
Like her hair's not curly. It fluffs a bit and it waves, but it's not curly. Like it doesn't have that texture to it. Whereas sometimes, you know what? I could just illustrate it. I like sometimes when I'm drawing her, it'll be like the ends of it where I'm doing the fluff will look too round. Or it'll when I try to undo the round, it'll look too pointed. In like both of these lines that Liv will see in a moment. Done digitally, like again, it looks too curly up here, whereas down here, this looks like Scarlet hair. Like this is the technique I use for Scarlet's hair. It's like wild swoops and swooshes and points. Like Scarlet has that nice thick hair, but it's straight. It's just thick. Because because I had the concepts that it's like if they're gonna have big hair, they have big hair because it's like bird down. Not literally, but like that's the image I wanted to.
That's that idea, yeah.
But where Morgan is like, it's not supposed to look quite the same. So I'm always caught between curly poodle hair or Scarlet hair, which Scarlet hair is not bad. It's just it's not how Morgan's hair looks. It's frustrating.
It's different.
Yeah.
Still looks good.
Thank you. There's also this challenge of getting the right size line. Like I never have an issue with the size of the line. No matter what pencil I use, it always comes out perfectly fine. But with digital, it's like you have to be so much more specific with what size the line is. I love her fucking nose. This is what makes me sad about that I don't draw Morgan up, is I love her fucking little nose.
She's so cute. Little nubby nose, little just slightly upturned.
Yeah.
So cute. She's just pure adorable, just all around, just so cute.
Damn it. I'm trying to get this line right. It's not, oh my god! Nope. Brushing away didn't help. There's something frustrating in having to resort to the teeny dash lines instead of just being able to sweep it, even though it still comes out looking fine. It's also a little fun because especially in traditional, and especially in Saints Quarter,
Mhm.
my natural style that I like going to when I'm going for that quote unquote realistic look where it's just more
Mhm.
sketchy and more rough. I leave a lot of open lines, and I like
Yeah.
it like that. Like I like it that way. But
That's
when it comes to coloring, it makes my job very difficult because I have to go through and find all of the gaps.
Yeah.
Like
I was wondering about
yeah,
that.
like people who like artists who do their line art in flats on the same layer, you're awesome. I can't do that. Like Yamano, the artist's sister Claire,
Mhm.
she did a comic jam group while I was in college cuz they
Mhm.
at the time I they at the time like she and her wife lived out there where I was going to school, and they sorry, I keep trying to do the hair and I'm zoning out.
Trying to focus.
They they did a comic jam because they were like, there's not enough people talking about drawing comics at this school. We want to make a group for that. So since her since her wife was a member of faculty,
Mhm.
she would come on campus and like do a comic jam, and it was great. This is how I met
Well, that's awesome.
some of the people who still follow my art today, and I do not talk to them enough, and I should. But it's because I'm bad at long distance contact. If I met you in person, I am not gonna be able to keep up with
Oh,
you long distance. It is so bad.
yeah.
'Cause, like,
It's one or the other. Pig.
yeah, like Liv, Oz, Sam. I would love to see you guys in person someday, but I have not, and yet I talk to you. I've like known you so long. We talk
Uh-huh.
every day.
Basically, yeah.
My pen just gave out for a
It's
second.
different.
I
It's
think the
funny
battery's
how
dying. Yeah, it's just it really is. It's either or. Like my brain can't compartmentalize.
it's true because like I'm so bad about keeping in touch with people that live, 5-10 minutes away from me.
Hmm.
Like right there, could literally like text and like meet up immediately. But I don't know. I'm really bad about that.
Like the definite most biggest reason, which is an interesting way to put it, that Jess and I were became friends and stayed friends, especially after she transferred to another store. Because before it was like, well, we worked
Mhm.
together, so we saw each other every day.
Right, you were coworkers. You saw each other all the time.
Yeah, but after she changed to a different store, when she like just applied for a different position, we managed to stay friends when I didn't keep
Mhm.
connected with almost anybody else in the other branches, no matter how close we were
Mhm.
while we worked together, which is kind of sad, and I miss them.
Yeah.
Um, because she refused to let me not talk to her.
That's that's true.
Like
Yes,
people like
it's
Jess,
definitely.
people like Jess are the best kind of friend anyone with like object permanence issues or ADHD or just in general suck at contact can have, because they won't let you forget to talk to them.
She is a prime example of an extrovert adopting an introvert.
Yes.
Like like literally with
Like
you.
no, that's literally how it went. Like I came in and we talked for 2 sentences, and she immediately was like, "You're my best friend now." Like almost in those exact words.
You have no choice in this, by the way. It's
Exactly.
just how life is now.
You're my friend. Do I have a choice? No.
Funny thing is like knowing her now, like I can absolutely picture this. I can absolutely picture this going down.
No, I
It's
had known her
priceless.
for a week, and she was already like, when we've been best friends for 5 years, we have to get matching tattoos. And I went with it. I was like, sure.
Ugh.
Because you're not going to let me get away. But it was like, it's
Yep.
in a way I'm cool with, you know? Because she's fun. I definitely frustrated with her many times, and she's frustrated with me
Sure,
quite a lot.
sure.
But
It's the
you know
sign of
what?
a true
It's fun.
friendship though when
Yeah.
that can happen.
Like,
You can like still be friends after it.
yeah, we're like, we always joke, especially whenever we manage to these days walk alongside each other with hands in pockets and masks on. Joke about how we always end up looking like Princess Bubblegum in Marceline because of the style difference.
That's true, though. It is honestly quite true. Ugh. Kind of is you guys' aesthetics.
It really is.
Us says it would be really weird to actually meet up.
It would be so weird. Like we talk so much, but I legit would not know what to say to you. I mean, Liv, I see your face. We talk in video. It'd be a little easier now.
Right.
But like the first couple of times we video chat, I'm like, I don't know how to talk to a face.
It's definitely different than interacting with someone like literally physically face to face.
Yeah.
But get used to it, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was awkward. I think I'm better about just because I game so much and I have a lot of friends that I've also never met in real life but have talked to a ton while gaming with them. I think like it's okay. Yeah, the video chat, because I've never really actually video chatted. This has been kind of somewhat new. Like I have in passing, but it's not like a regular thing. But making this like a weekly thing with D and stuff,
Yeah.
I'm getting better with it, I think. So, Oz agrees that it's also definitely a either or situation with IRL friends and online friends.
Yeah.
So
like the first time I met
keep in contact with.
the first time I met Rob in person, the DM
yeah.
for the game Liv and I play on Wednesdays. Well, it's not Wednesdays anymore. On another day of the week. The first time I met him in person, like he was I was trying to give him a thing that I had that he needed. Like that was literally he was like, I need this. Like I have it. You want some? So we met up randomly, like because we were like, oh, we live relatively nearby, so we'll meet in this place.
Mhm.
It's like he showed up. I gave him the thing. I said, what's up? He's like, yeah, and then all but ran away. Meanwhile, online, we waste so much of session time just all talking to each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Some of it is I think that you guys are like in your own comfort zones. Like you're still at home. You're like in your own space and you're able to socialize from that space. Like I don't know. I feel like I'm such an antisocial person when it comes to being around people in person, but I'm very social when it comes to being online.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
It's very much I can choose the terms in which I'm interacting.
yes.
Feeling.
I don't have to go and get dressed. Like I can just be in my pajamas and hang out if I want.
Yeah. And
Ugh.
you have like complete control of the situation. The second
Yeah,
you're done,
you do.
you're gone.
You can just say, "Hey, I'll catch you later. Bye," and go. You
Yeah.
don't have to like, have the awkward 5-minute goodbye. I'll see you around, hugs,
Okay, bye,
and then you
bye,
have
bye,
to like
bye,
go
bye,
and
bye, bye.
walk or drive or whatever.
Yeah, like I hate.
Goes and buys.
Now I'm just thinking like Pat and Casey topic switch. The maudlin goodbyes at my family's get-togethers over
Gosh.
the years. That was what it was called. Was the maudlin goodbye. My mom's family just like this. We would start like, all right, we're heading out. An hour and a half later, we're finally in the car.
Yes. Yeah.
Like saying goodbye is an hour and a half process, which is why I would tell my mom every
Get
time.
started ahead of time.
Yeah. Every time we would go to something, like I reached an age where I was like, okay, Mom, you have to tell me when we're leaving. Not we'll leave when we're done. She's like, when are we leaving? I have to know. I have to know how long I have to keep this energy up. I have to before we get out of the car. I've got like pre-prep work to get myself mentally ready to do this many hours of socializing.
It's bad when you have to like prep yourself to leave.
Yes. It was like, no, you have to.
Honestly, though.
I made her start including goodbye time in how long an event would be.
Oh my gosh.
Because, like, I would tell her, like, is there somewhere we have to be after this? Okay, then that's when we're saying that is leaving time. Because she She's part of it. She was part of the problem of Maudlin Goodbye. She never had a problem with it. She would instigate it sometimes.
Your mom say, yeah, because you'd be almost to the door, and then someone would be, oh, and I forgot one more thing, and it starts all over again.
They would it's like this slow follow throughout the house from the last. You go through the house.
Yes.
You go through the house and say goodbye to every single person individually, and then you finally reach the last person you were saying goodbye to, who is in the deepest point of the house, because you've already gone to get your coat as a visual signal of I am leaving. Don't start a new conversation with me. That it's a polite family member who respects the signal. Not all of them will.
Yes. No,
But
not at all.
then you slowly make your way back from the deepest point of the house, back to the door, trailing family members as they all again tell you goodbye one more time, but then turn to follow you out. And then and then you reach the door and you're going around and you're hugging every individual person who's gathered behind you like ducklings. And then you go outside and you're all standing in the front yard waving at each other. You take turns waving and saying, oh, goodbye. Oh, I'll see you, blah, blah, blah. And this is the stage in which you make your future plans, is when you're in your coat, having said goodbye, having hugged everyone, but are now outside.
Yes.
And then you head to the car, and they trail, and at least a few of them, especially if it's anybody's parent, is going to trail you to the car. And as you're getting in the car, there's one person still standing outside the car talking to them, and then another few family members will slowly grab it, like revolve around the car and start talking through the windows at the kids. And then you get in the car, and then everyone's leaning around your window talking to you for a minute, just chilling against the car. And then finally you're pulling out, and everyone's waving or running up like, oh, you forgot this. And then you pause at the end of the driveway to lean out and wave and say goodbye. And then finally you're gone.
Yeah, an hour and a half later, like you said. From the moment you grab your coat.
I was not exaggerating a single bit of that. I did not make a single bit of that up. That is the Maudlin goodbye. I'm going to isolate that clip for posterity.
There you go. Oh, family.
I am like internally. I'm still crying. I am crying a little bit just thinking about it. because I haven't been able to see anybody this year, I legitimately miss the people that do this. I miss this family. But it caused me so much pain.
It was,
like I was always confused why no one else was in pain from this. Whereas like waiting for I've learned how to put it in terms recently. I feel like every couple of things I'll say I'll stop talking about ADHD eventually, but let's just go ahead and say that's not going to happen. But like I've learned so many things that I did not know were because of ADHD. I learned a lot of what I was feeling, like not everyone feels an extent of it. Like a lot of people feel an extent of it, especially if you're an introvert. But like it would be psychological distress to be waiting for anything because I have to prepare to wait. And then I learned by the age of 13 that if I have to be somewhere, I can't do anything else because I will not know what time it is. I learned that by the age of 13, even though I did not know why I couldn't understand time. It's so I would get into wait mode, is what I call it. Is you're just trapped there for hours, and the second you're like, I have to be somewhere, the second you consciously recognize that fact is the second wait mode starts, even if it's 5 hours away. And you are trapped there the entire 5 hours until you leave. Miserable. And the goodbye. Once I say goodbye, the second I say goodbye, I'm instantly ready to leave. I am ready to move on to the next activity. But then everybody else is still taking so long. I'm sitting there like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And I'm just trapped in that middle of wait to leave mode where I am finished one activity that I am done with and cannot reinstigate because I either don't want to or I'm just too tired and I know I won't be able to go home and go to bed. And actually getting to go on to the next thing just to stimulate myself. The next activity. Being between activities is the worst feeling, and every Maudlin goodbye is that stage, and it was so painful. I would be in such distress. I'd be just sitting there so angry, unreasonably angry the entire time. No matter how much I loved these people, they would be my enemy in that time.
Because, yeah, like, you've got your own thing going on, and you're like, okay, I'm compartmentalizing enough that I'm already finished with this stage. I'm ready to move on to the next, but you keep dragging me back here, and I'm not in this mode anymore.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm done. Go away. I love you, but bye.
I hate waiting on people. Like, if we're supposed to be doing something, or I'm supposed to be somewhere, and I'm having to wait on someone, like, that is literally the worst. I grew up raised by 2 Air Force veterans who are hardcore military mode, and we had to be we were everywhere on time, and I can't stand being late. So like when something runs over or something running late, like I'm better about it now that I'm an adult and have grown and functioned, and I'm far more grace based and life happens type thing. But the longest time, it took me forever to be okay with being late to anything or anything running over a scheduled time. Like it messed with me for a long time because I was so used to like having that structure.
Again, I'm sorry.
Like I just said, I'm better about it now. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just had to. I had to.
I'm sorry. No, it's 100% fine.
I had to.
Like if that would have happened when I was like, 20, it might have been a different case.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't have internet back then.
Gosh.
No, the
So
real good
long ago
thing
now.
is I would not have had the skills to make friends with you back then.
Oh, I
It
don't
was
know
so
about
bad.
that. I'm pretty sure we met by that time, or pretty close to it.
Oh, I had already been in college for at least one semester by the time I started talking to you.
Really?
Yeah, like when you were 20. Oh wait. Oh no, we did.
We would have met because that was a
yeah.
decade ago. We've known each other a while.
For some reason, I was thinking
No.
about high school. It's like, no, wait.
Oh, no. We knew each other by that time.
Yeah, we knew each other. We definitely knew each other. I was like 19. Yeah, we did.
Not that far apart age-wise.
I just said that Morgan was from 2012, and I'm sitting here like, no, not when you were 20. Oh no, her arm. It is askew.
You. Says
okay.
being on time is also very important to him. Ooh, I feel it.
Yep. No, no lie though. I used to. It's the same thing as in the wait mode thing. This is actually something that I have learned so much by watching ADHD TikTok. It is unreal.
That's good. Just giving you tips on like how to function and cope with certain
or
parts
just
of it.
giving me language to explain why something frustrates me. Like someone like I can't be on time. Like I am not inherently capable of doing it, so I have this weird preparation ritual to make sure that I am on time. Like it took me many years to reach a point where I could train myself to get to somewhere on time, but it's not because I was like, oh, it's time to go, got up and left. It's because I prepared for that. I prepared the day before to do my preparation to leave. It's this ritual that I had to figure out that cannot be explained because it's not actually a series of activities.
Yeah.
But
so what do you do?
I I have to work myself into I have to work myself into a state of mind where I am not doing anything. I'm not waiting on doing anything. I'm not trying to do anything else. I am going. Like people joke about I have to be somewhere in 20 minutes. Let me watch another episode of this 45-minute show. It's like, no, I would legit try that in all seriousness. I'd be sitting there like, I have to be at work in 20 minutes. My first summer back from college, but I was binging Buffy again for the 15,000th time at that point. And because it was like back then, I depended on it a lot different way than I do now. Like now, I rewatch it whenever I'm just like, I miss the good stuff. Like the stuff that I don't have to expend extra effort to find enjoyment in, because I know I already enjoy it. So it's very easy to just put it back on and get that stimulus. It's just very easy. But like back then, it was my therapy. Like I would watch it when I was feeling bad. Like when I first got all the Angel DVDs, in all seriousness, the themes that Angel is about saved my life. They saved my life. Because it's the entire premise of the show, because Joss Whedon was a philosophy nerd. Some of the deep themes of those shows are finding meaning, making choices, and like just getting through life. Like that's what the shows are about. Like those are the themes that they're about. Watching Angel, which is even more about it than Buffy is, because like Buffy is from the growing up into a world where that's what things are, where Angel is being an adult in that world. Just Angel is about just getting through it. So when I first started watching that show, this season 2 where he goes through this whole thing where he basically is living the myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, which I read after learning that that's what was inspired so much of it. I just the stuff that they would stop and discuss, which would be giving away the theme, is like that shit saved my life. Like just him talking about, it's like no, it's just I'm not gonna go into it. That's for another episode. But
resonated with you and it meant something.
Yes. Whereas now it's just when I'm having a hard time, it's nice to go back and remind myself. Or if I'm just like, I just want to feel good, I'm gonna watch the thing that makes me feel good. I went on such a tangent. The point being, I had to be at work in 20 minutes, so I was like, I want to watch another episode of Buffy. It's 45-minute episode. I can totally watch that before I have to leave. I would legit think like that. Because I could not connect. And it's not the math problem, because math was my best class.
So what was it then?
For some reason, I convinced myself that because I wanted to do the thing so much, it was going to fit into that time because I wanted to do it.
Gosh.
It's the only way I could think to explain it. But it was just a matter of like, it was, you know what it was probably like I didn't want to be stuck in wait mode for that 20 minutes. So I did something that would be a stimulus, but I knew that I would be stuck in it and I'd be late for work. So it took me a while to learn how to not do that because I needed stimulus so bad. Which, you know what? It's a little easier now with like YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, where it's definitely shorter activities that aren't going to run over. But then I get trapped in a loop. So I still have to be careful what I do. Yeah. But
it's good though, and it's good that you're like more aware of these things now and able to like kind of process and take it into consideration as you go about daily life, and like just kind of have that in your mind so you know like how you should approach things or how you can best approach things to make sure that you're not losing yourself into those loops. I mean, granted, it's gonna happen. That's life.
It's gonna happen. Like the biggest
it's like
thing,
how to try and avoid it, I guess.
Yeah, like the biggest thing for me in having a diagnosis hasn't been learning how to hack it, because I've been having to learn how to hack this my entire life. It's the fact that now I don't feel bad about the fact that my brain doesn't work the right way, the quote unquote right way. So there's like, it just literally doesn't work that way.
There is no right way. It's just a different
the typical way.
Even typical. I feel like typical is not a good way to put it, even, because there's so many people. Like there's so many people that function like this. Like this is still very normal. It's just different from what society has said for so long is the quote unquote normal way.
Yeah,
this is still normal. Let's be honest.
For sure. And when I
takes a different approach.
Yeah, when I say typical, what I mean is like most people, like neurotypical people, most people can learn how to function in this regard. Like most people, like everyone has to an extent that trouble when you're growing up, but most people can fall into it, and it's not so hard. Basically, it's not always easy for everybody, but it's not as hard. For me, it was like I grew up being surrounded by people who were like, "Why is this not as hard for you as it is for me?" So it's just knowing why. Like I used to think there was something wrong with me, or I just was like because I had depression, so of course I thought there was something wrong with me because there was something wrong with me. But I used to like get in the thought process of I'm just not wired for this world, and then I realized, I'm literally just not wired for the world, the way the world is set up. I'm not. ADHD
the way things
is
are
not
set up,
conducive to modern life. It's not.
Sucks.
But like now I don't feel bad about it, which is so much better because now I'm not wasting time
good.
hating myself for not being able to do
Oh.
something, and I could just spend more energy
Not
on figuring
something.
out the new way to do it.
It's not something that's wrong with you. It's just the fact that it's
Yeah.
a little more effort to line up with the way stuff is set up because it's set up for different-minded people.
Yeah. But like that kind of lends to me the other thing I was eventually getting at, the amount of pauses I can go on and then return to a thought is hilarious to me. Which is the great thing about drinking caffeine and being on meds is I maintain my footnotes, whereas before I would get like when I stopped drinking coffee, I gave it a few months and I leveled out, and then I realized just how bad all my symptoms are when I'm not drinking any kind of stimulant. When I'm not on any kind of even a minor one like coffee and soda. I try to drink less soda
Makes
than
a
coffee and tea.
difference.
It is such a difference. Like when I gave it a few months to adjust and I was like, oh, I'll be better after I'm used to not having caffeine anymore. No, I could not remember anything. My short-term memory at me at base level is terrible. It is so terrible. I would lose track of like people like usually you associate it with, oh, you leave a room and you lose every track of thought. Like most people get that, but when you have like ADHD, it's so much worse. Like you don't even remember why you, like what led you to going into the room, so you can't backtrack. I couldn't remember anything. I would be reading a sentence or talking to someone and forget 3 words ago where I was going with it. It was so bad. So I told my therapist, I was like, I have to drink coffee. I don't have a choice because I'm so scared of taking more intense stimulants. I was like,
Right.
I released, like, I have to drink coffee. I have to. So I managed to break my severe dependence on it. So I'm a little better, even though my tolerance is going down again. It's going up again, I mean. It's a much more controlled intake now, but like I have to have coffee.
Yeah.
I have to have caffeine, or else I
I-
cannot think. But now it's like I switch topics all the time, and I'm constantly changing subjects. But it's like
You can still go back.
it's like my thoughts have footnotes. I just put a pin in it and then come back around. Like I remember
Return.
saying that. I remember saying that so much when I started drinking coffee again. I was like, Olivia, my thoughts have footnotes again. I feel so much better.
I can stop and return to it.
Because like an aunt of mine likes to pick on me about that because she didn't grow up. She was like not around me when I was growing up, so she didn't already. That wasn't just like an in-baked this is a Casey thing for her. So she was just sitting there like, I think this is so funny that you do this, and she was just pointing it out. None of my mom's family pointed it out. She pointed it out. She's like, you do this thing where someone will interrupt you, and it's like you're on pause, and the second they're done, you go okay, and then launch right back into what you were saying, and it's the funniest damn thing. It's like, yeah, because if I don't would continue it, the fact that I had a thought that I didn't finish is going to kill me for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm literally sitting there thinking about the sentence I was saying until the next person is done. It's like a compulsion. But the footnote I was returning to re-return.
Just an example.
Was we were talking about being mad at other people for not being on time.
Yes.
Like I learned is like because I did feel that way. But one thing just watching other people with ADHD on TikTok talk about it is like, no, I felt that when someone said is like, I hate waiting for other people so much because the amount of work I have to put into being on time and being prepared to be on time in that wait mode, which is actual hell. Wait mode is purgatory, actually, not hell. It's purgatory, which is in a weird way. I feel like purgatory would be worse. Like because experiencing
literally
something like wait mode
waiting
in my life, it's like no, I can't. It is so much worse. That's why there's the joke in Supernatural that hell is a line that never ends. But I hate it when other people keep making me wait longer because I've already been in wait mode before I got here on time. Like I've already been in wait mode for at least an hour. At least an hour. At best an hour. At worst it's been 5 hours. Like 5 hours of a day that I can't do anything in because I fell into wait mode too early and couldn't break out of it and get back into it. Because like once I break out of it, I can't re-enter it, or I'm scared that I can't. So like if first thing in the morning I think about where I have to be later, that's it. The day's gone. But like that's one of the reasons it takes me so long to get shit done. Because I will lose days to this. I will lose days of productivity
That just
to this wait
becomes
mode.
100% priority.
Yeah, because like I know that now that I'm in wait mode, if I break out of it, I can't get back, or I can't even say I know. It's just I'm scared I can't get back. Because in the past, I've been stuck where I couldn't get back, and I would be late. I get almost fired from my first job because I could not get there on time.
Aw.
It was the first time I ever had to be like that. Like in college, people always in growing up in high school, they're like, oh, in college you can't do this. It's like, no, in college you can do whatever the fuck you want. Your professors don't give a shit if you're in class.
I really don't.
You're the only one who gives a shit. So you have to learn how to do all this, which is what was so hard for me in college. Is I suddenly had to be responsible for my time. And then I realized I am not capable of being responsible for my time. It has taken me 10 years to learn how to do that. But no lie, like if somebody makes me wait, like that's what I'll text people constantly if I'm meeting them somewhere. Be like, this is the time, right? This is what time we're meeting, because I know that if they are late, it's not objectively a bad thing that somebody is late. It's not. But to me, it is the worst offense because of what you just made me sit through. You have made me suffer. You have caused me
Do
pain.
not
You are my enemy
understand.
now for the next half hour that we're hanging out. So we better be hanging out for the entire rest of the afternoon, or I'm just mad at you now. And I can't help it. Like even telling myself that it's okay if someone's late, this is just what you have to deal with, I'm still mad. It's like, no, this fucking sucks.
Mhm.
Like if I have somebody who I know is prone to being late, I lie to them and tell them they have to be 15 minutes earlier. Or if they're like a closer friend, like Rashna. Rashna is ADHD too, so I know she's gonna be late to shit. I just go ahead and tell her, now remember, you're not allowed to do anything from this time to this time. And I'll text her beforehand, remember, you're not going to do the thing. You're not going to make bread before the game. Because, and I can talk to her that way, because we've both talked about how we both know how bad we both are at it.
Both aware, you can both relate.
Yep.
It's from a place of being able to understand.
Yeah. The one footnote I have lost is how we got here, because I know we were supposed to talk about the New Year plans today.
Yeah, you know.
You know what?
Whatever.
We're gonna be here for a couple hours. We've already been here for an hour.
Already been here for over an hour. Well, probably an hour at this point. I don't remember what time we actually started. It's been an hour. It's been just over an hour.
It's been just over an hour. But yeah, like the topic today was on the topic of being on time and making plans. I decided when I set the stream schedule for this month that the first topic was going to be New Year's plans. And like it wasn't the serious, what's your New Year's resolution? Because we all know no one has those this year. And if you do, it must be nice to be that optimistic. I legit envy your outlook on life. But like no lie, I seriously envy that outlook on life because I can't have it. It was gonna be like a semi tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, this is me tentatively saying I'd like to do something this year, but probably won't happen. It was supposed to be like lighthearted though, still just feeling better about the fact that I can try and look forward to something, even though I know I can't plan big. Like I even wanted to talk about how I would like to think that maybe we can do FlameCon this year since everybody's tickets are on hold. But I also know that I'm not going to get vaccinated until probably the fall or winter because of the way that they're doing vaccines in my state. Like we have constant updates about the tiered system. And there's this thing where people are both like you cannot go out of order. We have to do people who are going first, but also you cannot waste doses. But the thing is like when you're just doing the tiered system strictly, doses get wasted and have to be thrown out. So there's this weird thing of like a discussion I heard today where they're like, why can't they do this thing where they have the tiered system, but when there's a batch of that are about to go out, immediately grab the nearest arms that will let you stab.
Honestly,
do not waste doses. So like that should definitely be the thing. Is like if you are about to have a batch that's going to expire of the vaccine, literally just in the hospital, just like any patient who doesn't technically qualify, go ahead and stick them. Just go ahead and say, do you want your vaccine today? We're about to expire special.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It would be semi-chaotic, but it would make sure we're not wasting anything. It would make sure people are getting vaccinated as fast as possible. Because part of the reason it's going to take so long is because if we're wasting doses and people are waiting that long, it's going to push it even further and further back because we have to replace those doses for the next scheduled batch.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, we're not going to do FlameCon this year. It's most likely definitely not going to happen.
Be honest.
I was like, I wanted to look forward to it.
Any big event is not going to happen this year.
No.
Like, we're still not going to see concerts. We're still not going to see conventions.
No.
Yeah, that's just life right now.
Yeah, but like,
sucks.
I still wanted to get on and go, like, it would be nice. Like, in the frame of maybe my next convention. Because in my next convention, I'll have at least, hopefully, if the Kickstarter in March. There's a Kickstarter in March. Have I mentioned the Kickstarter in March that I posted everywhere?
In case you missed it.
In case you haven't yet heard. Provided it goes successful like my last two did. Like, I'm still at the point where my first two Kickstarters, I just hit goal. Like, my second one, because it was a lower goal, I was able to get a little further into it. Not quite to the next stretch goal, but I had a nice that was a nice buffer past the top. It versus in episode 1, I made goal in $77. I almost made an extra 10%. No, an extra 2%, an extra 2% math. It was 102% over goal. So, like, I still have to couch it in if it's successful, because it might not be. But I'm feeling like I'll at least hit break even again. I'm confident that I can do that because I'm so much more prepared this time than last time. I know what I'm doing a little bit more. Provided that it's successful, next convention, I'll have at least 2 books. I'll have at least 2 books to sell at my table. Depending on when it is, like, if it's not until fall of 2022, which is after FlameCon was first canceled, I was like, we're not gonna see each other again until 2022, huh? Like, I think I literally said that to somebody. I know I literally said that to somebody, that we're not gonna be able to do anything for another 2 years. If I don't have 2 comics, like, if it's not until, like, fall of 2022, I want to kickstart episode 3 in March of 2022. I'll have 3 books. So, like,
exactly.
Return to conventions. It's weird to think that even though 2020 was supposed to be the year that I did a lot with it and got really further into doing everything, but I feel like when I finally can return to conventions, I'll have so much done that, like, no, that's gonna be one hell of a banner year, isn't it? It's gonna be great. This is gonna be
seriously.
I'm so looking forward to that. I just don't know when it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But
things like that are going to be huge when everyone is allowed to eat again. Like, everyone's going to be out. Everything is going to sell out. Everything's going to be packed. And you're going to have more merch to offer. So everything considered, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be amazing.
Like,
the waiting period right now sucks.
Honestly, industries like that, like concerts, conventions, stuff like that, it's going to be hard to scrape it together to fund them to get them open, but they are going to have one of the biggest comebacks. They just are, just from tickets alone. People will buy tickets alone just to go see the people they haven't been able to see, even if they can't afford to buy merch because they still are struggling with work. They're going to have the biggest one, like, in comparison to other industries. Like, that industry is going to make one of the biggest comebacks. I'm not an economist, but that is my theory. So I'm putting out there. It's like, I don't actually know enough about economy. I know enough about it to have minor discussions. I don't know enough about it to make a prediction.
Right.
So do not rely on my prediction. But this is what I think. Like, I know I'm probably wrong, but this is what I think is going to happen.
I think going off of how things have functioned so far, I think that's probably a pretty fair to estimate. So,
but that's what I wanted to talk about today, was just looking forward to fun shit, because you're supposed to look forward at the beginning of the year, even if you don't have much to look forward to. But then Wednesday happened. Like, I was seriously thinking last night and today whether or not I wanted to talk about it. And I'm like, you know what? I can't not just because of what it was, but because I'm not physically capable of not talking about shit that I can't stop thinking about, or that made me feel the way I felt. So, yeah, we're gonna talk about Wednesday now.
Before we dive into that, Oz has been commenting. I don't know if you wanted to comment on anything.
Let's respond
Sorry.
to everything previously before we move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt anything, but Oz has been talking. He's just talking about how envying that outlook of life sounds so crazy because it seems very unrealistic to have those expectations for this year in particular.
Yeah, that's true. It's unrealistic every year, but especially this year.
It's really bad this year after the last year we just had, and we both agree that optimists are kind of scary.
Aggressive positivity and optimists.
It's terrifying.
At best, they bug me. At worst, I'm afraid of them. Like, I don't.
Yeah, they're terrifying. It's like literally, it's like, do you know something I don't know?
I know.
Because if you do, please share. Because for real. Or what are you on right now?
Can I have some?
Can I have some? Yes. He agrees. Unfortunately, by the time the next convention happens, you'll probably have 3 books. So.
Yep.
There, but you'll have more merch.
Oh, one thing I know I've said this before, and probably even on live stream, but I'm going to say it every time it comes up. I will be damned if I get con crud ever again. After this. I'm not taking that chance now that this is out there, because it's never going to go away. It's that kind of thing. It's going to be the next thing we're always getting vaccinated for every year, just like flu is, and how we have to constantly make new flu vaccines. This is the new thing that we're just going to have to live with from now on because we fucked up so bad.
Add it to the list. Yeah, it is real bad.
But especially with this, it's like, no, from now on, there's going to be a sneeze screen on my booth, hand sanitizer, giant bottle of it between our stuff. I am never getting sick at conventions again. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm never doing a convention before my vaccines in a year, and I am never allowing, like, now that I know, like, it's not going to be as crazy as, like, people with the giant plastic taped over the counter so their business can stay open in New York right now.
I think just purely having hand sanitizer there is going to make a huge difference. And honestly, like, you could even mask up and things like that, like, just to kind of help. Like, I feel like we're going to see a whole lot more of that now.
Yeah. Like, I was thinking about maybe I wanted to do, like, a little plexi shield. One, because I already had a problem with people reaching over and messing my stuff up. Like, that was already a problem. That is already a problem at conventions. People reach over, touch stuff. If they don't contaminate it for me, they contaminate it for somebody else. Like, I got so sick at Brooklyn Comic Con because I touched something someone touched and didn't realize that they were sick when they touched it. That's literally how it happened. Because I don't touch people. That's
what happens when you get that many people in one space, though. Yeah, like, you've got people traveling from all over. Like, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. But literally, like, how I caught whatever I had, I might have been bronchitis again. I don't know, or a bad flu. But like, however I caught it, it was because it was either through touching my own merchandise or the money they gave me. It was one of those two things. They're the only ways, because of how much I just already don't like being in contact with people. Like, there's people who go out and they'll hug people.
Having hand sanitizer there is gonna help.
Like, that alone is already
constantly just doing that in between interacting with people.
Yeah, like, there are artists I follow who already did that because they were, like, after they got sick a couple of times and were just so they were very type A about germs. They were very, like, germophobic. Germaphobes. They were already like that, and they already, like, once I started doing that, I was never sick at conventions. So I already know how to not get sick at conventions. So I was like, cool.
It's good.
Like, that's already just good to have. And that was that base thing of they just had hand sanitizer. Now with something more severe out there, because conventions, you're gonna have, there's, like, a higher concentration among like, nerd culture of people who do have like, certain health issues. Like, there just is. Like, both
be more conscious of it.
Yeah, like, both so I can protect myself, but also so I can be able to interact with people. Like, they can see my face, see me smiling at them and talking to them without me risking giving anything that I might not be sick from, but might be carrying to them. Is now something I'm thinking about. That's why I want to do the plexi screen. Like, I want to make that part of my display.
It's a good idea.
Because I can even put signs on it, but that way they can still see me and they can interact with me. But I won't pass anything I might have just picked up.
You're smart.
Yeah. It's like, this is stuff that I think about so much more now than I ever did before. Is like, I'm
Oh
not just worried
yeah, the
about
way we
myself. I'm deathly
approach
terrified
things
of
is
hurting someone
so
else.
different.
Yeah, like,
It's entirely different now.
so different. But yeah, like, it's going to be another year minimum before things like that come back, and it's gonna boom. And there's gonna be another wave of people getting sick right afterwards, but hopefully not as big.
Yeah. Oh, I think it'll comparatively.
And hopefully much better prepared to be taken care of at that point, because right now everyone's at capacity. Can't. Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we want to talk about? We want to stay on COVID, or we want to talk about Wednesday?
It's up to you.
But yeah, just I'll start with the tweet I saw today, right before my appointment. I saw someone saying that they didn't want. They're sitting there like, you know what? And I'm not gonna say the person. Like, I tweeted about it already. So Liv, you've probably seen me say these words already.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to quote retweet because I don't actually want to draw attention to that person in case somebody yells at them for it. Like, I was criticizing what they were saying, but I didn't. It's nothing about them. It's just that line of thinking that I had an issue with, because I understand why they thought that way. They were saying, I hate what happened on Wednesday. I hate it, and I'm so mad. But I will not be here and get all outraged about sedition or treason or stuff like that, because ain't nobody gonna tell me that's not just loading a gun that the right's gonna use against us later. And that's what they said. And I was like, you know what? I understand that fear. I really do. I do understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I worry about that a lot too. But, and this is a big but, first, they already do that to us. They already do it to us.
I was gonna say, this is nothing new. They already do that. Every freaking time.
So, like, it's already a problem. That's literally what McCarthyism was them calling either anyone who remotely disagreed or had their own opinions that they have the right to have traitors, or choosing to call people traitors that they just didn't like or wanted to get out of the way. That's why The Crucible was written during McCarthyism, because it was basically a fucking witch hunt.
Yeah.
So it already has happened. It already does happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing new. But at this scale, yeah, I do worry that someone could misuse a precedent. However, there's a problem in thinking that way when what happened was literally that. It was literally an act of treason.
It's the literal definition of treason. Very different.
Like, we have to call what happened what it is. We have to. It was treason. It was sedition. It was a federal crime, which isn't even as bad as treason. They literally tried to overthrow the government. That is what happened on Wednesday. They were trying to stop, like, they are all so stupid that they think that Wednesday was anything more than a pageantry. Like, it's already over. Wednesday didn't even need to happen. Joe Biden is already the next president. He is already the next president. The states have already certified everything. It is already over. The counts are in. We already know the math. The suits have already been denied because there's no evidence. It's over already. All Wednesday was a performance that the vice president puts on, opening envelopes and counting it. That's all it was. It's basically the Golden Globes.
There was nothing that they could do to change things.
But they thought that they could change something that day. It's like, no, it is already over. But what they were trying to do, was to scare the Senate and the House into changing the results of the election that was already over. They were trying to take the ballots and destroy them as if that would change anything. They were trying to overthrow the government because they didn't like the results of a democratic election. Granted, our democracy does not meet the standards of a modern democracy. It, by fact, doesn't.
There's a lot that's messed up. There's a lot that needs work.
But you know what? both by the actual definition of democracy and the way ours works, Joe Biden won. And so they didn't like that, and they committed treason. We have to call it that, because if we don't call it that, and if we don't punish it as that, that's a worse precedent. That's saying you can commit actual treason. You can try and actually overthrow the government, and you get to go back to work on Monday. So, like, it's because people think that one of the worst things I've had to learn as an adult is that there is no such thing as a real winnable situation. In real life, you are never going to have a situation where you win. You are never going to have a situation where things work out and everything is good. It is just not going to happen. Maybe I think that because I've been watching historical tragedies on live news since the age of 8, but but that's just the way things work. It's like there is no winnable situation. You have to do something that you are worried might backfire on you because it's the right thing to do right now. Because if you don't do the right thing right now, a worse thing happens later. Like, yeah, it might backfire, and we'll have to deal with it then. But we can't not deal with it now. And that's what I was just so irritated when I saw that. But again, I didn't want to attack that one person because too many people think that way. And again, I understand why they think that way. You are afraid that it'll backfire on you and you will have to deal with this later. But you know what? We're going to have to deal with it later one way or the other.
It's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
So just a spade a spade.
Yeah, it's like we can't not deal with this. And this is literally like the first thing I thought yesterday morning when I woke up and I texted my aunt about it was we had like our family like our branch of the family hadn't been Jewish in 300 years. Maybe not quite 300 years, but give or take. Like they weren't Jewish anymore even when they came to America. But they originally came from an area in Poland. And the other branch of the family stayed there. Only one person in the entire family survived World War II. Only one person. And they don't live there anymore. They left. They could not stay. They would not stay there after World War II ended, which is probably good because they probably would have in the Soviet shit that happened afterwards wouldn't have survived that. But I texted my aunt. I was like, all I could think about this morning is we don't know if that one person is still alive, and if they are, how it must feel to look and see this on the news and just see in another country a major world power having white nationalists, people wearing Camp Auschwitz sweatshirts, storming the capital of a major national power to defend to steal the office for their leader, who is definitely liked by Russians, by the Russian oligarchy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a specific issue, like, and I was thinking about it from the lens of just specifically being somebody, like a Polish Jew in that era. Just specifically being somebody who was caught between those two things, exact things, watching it happen. And she says, she texted back, we were sharing cynical jokes all day. And she texted back immediately, was like, you know what, they probably wouldn't look on it kindly considering what happened. I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. That was my point. Just like imagining what it must feel like to see this. And you know what, we don't even have to imagine it because the still living survivors were already saying 4 years ago, this is terrifying to see happening again.
Yeah. On our own soil, like home. This isn't happening somewhere else in the world. Like this is right here at home.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Like, and people just trying, like, the thing that gets me the most, it just saddens me, is people saying this isn't America. I was like, no, this is America. That's why it happened.
Current state, yeah.
There has never been a part of American history where these people haven't been here causing shit. Like, between Reconstruction and Jim Crow, this shit happened. There was a mass murder of white supremacists attacking just attacking black communities and killing them and forcibly removing people from office. They took it over. It was a forcible takeover away from any progressive move forward, away from the Civil War, because we were starting to. This happens every time. This is America. This is what happens. Every single time. And part of the reason it keeps happening is because we can't accept that this is the way this country works.
Yeah.
Like, something I talk about with my papa a lot, my grandfather, is we are in severe need of a reality check the way Germany had.
Yeah.
Just hopefully not in the same circumstances, because the way they dealt with everything post World War II in Germany, America needs to do that. We need to be forced to look at it. We need to be forced, because we're not doing yeah.
Every time we try and have people just sit there and cry for their freedoms, like that they have a right to express themselves in this way, when it's like, don't understand what that actually means.
You don't. They don't.
Understand how this affects other people beyond yourself.
Like, you have the right to think whatever you think. You do not have the right to make that somebody else's problem. Is always the way that my papa says. Like, it's your right to swing your arm ends at the point that your fist meets somebody else's face.
That's a good way to put it. That's a damn good way to put it.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be consequences if the fist does hit someone.
Yeah, like, you have freedom of speech. You do not. I hate this example just because it's the one that's always used, and I'm just like tired of hearing it. But it's the example. You have freedom of speech. You do not have the freedom to yell fire in a crowded theater. You do not have the freedom to incite a riot and set a bunch of idiots onto the fucking Capitol. People have the right to protest. They have the right to burn down a Target. You're still going to get in trouble if you're caught being the one lighting the match, but you have the right to do it. You have the right to burn a flag.
Exactly.
You don't have the right
thing, like, you
to
can do
overthrow
that,
the government.
Like, absolutely not.
You don't actually have the right to do that. People like to go say is like, it's our American duty. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually not. You don't have the right to do that. You do not have the right to incite violent, to incite widespread violence, because people get hurt. The cost of that is too high. That's why you don't actually get to do that.
Exactly.
Especially when it's not even what you're saying it's for. Like, they're saying it's like, oh, they stole it from us. Like, no, they didn't. You're a dumbass. And not only are they stupid, they're lying. Immediately, people are sitting there. It like the half of the right that isn't sitting there taking credit for what they just did and posting their selfies that they took are saying that it was Antifa. Literally 2 posts down. It's like, I'm sorry, Antifa knows how to wear a fucking mask, so they're not identified. Like I told my therapist today, is like, I'm looking at these people going, I went to high school with these guys. I knew these people. While also sitting there like, I'm waiting for an actual name. I am waiting to hear the name of someone I actually knew to be among the name of the people who were there. I am waiting for it. Like, I will be surprised if I don't hear that someone I knew growing up was there.
It's depressing, but, like, accurate.
Yeah. Like, I will be deeply surprised if that never comes out. Like, if on my deathbed I have not yet heard that name, my last words will be, huh. Like, that'll be it. My final surprise. And then my cat's grandkids will be surprised when the name doesn't come out after the fact.
Yes.
Because I'm not having kids, so I'm not going to have grandkids. My cat might. Well, actually, no, he's fixed. His spiritual grandchildren.
Oh, he's fixed. He won't.
His spiritual grandchildren. Sorry, I'm getting a call from about my auto insurance that I don't have.
Like,
And another thing that really pisses me off.
oh, don't
Today
good.
is the Casey is Mad show, which is going to recur a lot because Casey is often mad. I try not to get mad on this because it's not fun to listen to. Like, I had some disagreements with a person that I used to talk to a lot over that because I was trying to create a remotely more welcoming environment than what I usually have, and they
Oh.
repeatedly would not um, listen to me saying, you have to stop trying to insert this in the conversation, because he ended up, a person that I had on was not prepared for something that he put up, and she was so unprepared that she didn't understand the context before she actually read it live. So she was blindsided into a conversation she wasn't prepared to have, nor agreed to have with me. And so I was sitting there having to, and I was put in the position of both explaining it
Yeah, you
and
were like impromptu damage control there.
yeah, so I was like, it should not come back on her that she just did not know how to have that conversation. People aren't, no one should be expected to understand every topic, and she didn't understand that topic. She understood it after the fact, and that's why you can't find that stream anymore, because she understood after the fact. She's like, I am not comfortable with that being out there because I was not signing on for that conversation. So it's like, but yeah, it's like there's still gonna be
there's a
days.
difference between you bringing it up as the
Yes.
host and someone just randomly blindsiding people.
Like,
So
I told you going in that we would probably talk about Wednesday today. Because I wasn't about to say, hey, guess what I want to talk about, and you not be wanting to talk about that.
Yeah, we might have had some words.
We might have had words. It's like, I don't want to do that. And if I ever am in a position where I've done that, it's because I simply forgot. Which is why I expect the people that I interact with, like, we've talked about this, is like, if I start going in a direction that you're not okay with me going that day, we've already agreed, you get to hold up a little red card and say, stop. Go no further. You may not cross this line. And even, like, it's just because sometimes you don't want to talk about shit. But you know what? I couldn't not talk about it today.
No, I think it's an important thing, and it deeply affected you. I mean, it affects all of us, but like it definitely affected you, like to a point where you talk about it. It's something to be addressed.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, watching members of my own family being an ass about it online is like, okay, no, I'm not. I can't keep.
I've had to unfriend so many people on Facebook this week.
Yeah, like I went ahead and
just
put up a
depressing
post.
that those people exist on my friends list to begin with, but I live in the Midwest, if that tells you people anything. So, you know, there's that.
I grew up in rural eastern North Carolina. So there's still a lot of people that stayed on my friends list that will not always be there because things will happen that will something about them that I don't want connected to me. And it's even worse when it's a member of my family. Like my guidance counselor in 2016 came out as a Trump supporter, and I was like, you know what? That really fucking sucks because I really fucking loved that woman. I looked up to her. I looked up to her, and I was just so let down.
That's rough.
Like, I thought you were smart. I thought you were a good person. I thought this and this meant enough to you that it would be a deal breaker, even if you did like the man. But no, after, like, this year has been a series of a new point of after this, and then after this. If you still, then yeah.
It's been a very interesting test to see the reality of who people really are.
Like, I already had the resolution that I could learn and talk to and understand a person who voted for him in 2016. It still would say something about the person they were back then that I didn't like. But 4 years is a long time. Evidence in front of your face that you can't ignore is a lot.
Yeah.
So I could eventually learn to deal with somebody who made that decision in 2016 with the right recovery, I guess, from that. I will never have room in my heart for anyone that supported him in 2020. Never. Never in my life. I will never have room for that.
It's pretty rough to justify.
Because, like, the only case that I could see it being comparable to, well, there was that one, I don't remember whether or not he was a church official or a journalist, but there was this one black man who spoke to ex-KKK people. He would speak to them one-on-one, one after the other, after the other, after the other. He would just go and talk to them. I think he was a journalist. And he would just go and spend time talking to them. And now he has a collection of robes that they sent him when they left. Because just knowing him and talking to him wasn't what they changed.
Wow.
So it would have to be that level of change in a person.
Yeah.
And that is such an extreme level of change that most people don't do. They can't do it. The human brain is not designed to change that much.
It's not impossible, but it ain't easy.
No.
It is not easy. I want that for everyone. Don't get me wrong. This is where that stupid optimism comes in. And I wouldn't even call it optimism, just hope, I guess.
Yeah.
Like a well-wish. I would want that for everyone, but I don't expect it to happen.
Yeah, like I have all the respect in the world. Well, hella respect for someone who could have actually changed that much. I really do. Because, like I said, like, we are literally not designed to be able to do it. Like, it's the reason you get mad when someone tells you something you believe in is wrong is because it's a defense mechanism. You feel like you're being attacked. Like, you're wired to believe that because the parts of us that evolved to think that way, it was life or death when that came up.
Well, yeah, it becomes a part of your identity, so
yeah. Like,
you are that attached to it, I guess.
Yeah, like what modern identity is now, it's not life or death, and we should be able to change our minds, but it's in that same part of our brain that can't. Like, that's why ideas like people don't change come up, because, like, yes, I do believe people can change to an extent. Everyone can change to an extent, and you can usually tell the people who can't, even to a little extent. But everyone can change to a degree from what they were, but that big of a change, not everyone can.
Right.
So I do have respect to people that manage it, but like, it would have to be that level of nearly impossible change in a human being for me to ever be able to deal with with supporting this being a decision that they made this past year.
Yeah.
That is a 1,000,000 to 1 scenario of happening or occurring. So, yeah, never. It's never gonna happen. What am I missing in this line that isn't closing?
I'm trying to figure that out. I'm looking.
Where is it? It doesn't make sense for it not to be there because
Not sure.
That doesn't make sense. The line is there. It should have done the line. Because the way I do flats, because I do the open lines, I'll always take, like, the little follow adjacent pixel magic wand on the line art, and I'll click, and I'll just select from the outside, and it'll block out anything that is actually contained, so that all that's left is for me to clean up anything that's not. But every black line should be colored in that case, because it's contained underneath the black, but it won't. Like, some of these lines were not even in colors. Like, how did that happen? That's not actually possible with the program. This has never happened before. I'm on the wrong layer. I wasn't with the color, but I was when I was trying to fix that. But, like, I'm actually legit baffled now. I wouldn't figure this out. But yeah, it's yeah. It's like every new week there's another thing like another level of things I will never be able to overcome about people.
Ugh.
Like, I'm never going to be able to overcome the fact that almost half of the people in one of the demographics I fall into voted for this man. It's deeply shameful to me that happened. Like, I will never, like 45% is going to be something that pops up in my head for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't understand.
Baffling. It genuinely is. See? What?
Like, I've never been able to understand people that can't unlearn things. Like, if you can't unlearn certain things by the time you're an adult, I don't understand it. But I guess it's, like, I think that's just me in my experience, because in my experience, it was impossible for me not to unlearn certain things, because I kept falling into groups that, well, I'm queer, so I kept falling into groups that I couldn't ignore it. I couldn't ignore the problem because it turned on me. Like, I couldn't even begin to make excuses for white supremacists and KKK, because one of my earliest memories when I was learning about it was one of my grandmothers telling me that they attacked Catholics, and half of my family was Catholic. Like, I could never get around that. I could never get past that. I could never get past the fact that I was queer even before I knew it, that there was something in me that people were hating, and I knew it about myself, but I didn't have the words to say that I had it. So it's like, I don't understand people who never had the thing they couldn't get past, because I just assumed that at least in women, being a woman was the thing you shouldn't be able to get past, like being a roadblock for you. I don't understand it not be like, I don't understand the cognitive dissonance. Like, I can see some cases where it's clear you were brainwashed. I can see that. Like, fundamentalists, I can see that. I can like the those deep down in their communities that scare you.
Yeah.
That I can understand. I can't understand somebody that grew up next to me, did the same things I did, but then came out
and
that hateful.
Still does that.
I don't get it.
There's no true logic behind it. Like, they can sit there and claim it, but like, where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, remember when you were a kid and everybody's like, you'll understand when you're older, but it's like, the older I get, the less I don't get any of it.
Oh, I don't. What were you talking about?
I don't understand. I understand why some members of my family get stuck in certain loops. But even that person who I'm referring to but won't name, they still, somewhere in there, legitimately care about other people.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Yeah.
And again, that's I don't think I've had an experience where I'm capable of understanding it. Is me at my most liberal brain trying to be open-minded. Like, I have I have some family members that will try and be the mediator between me and certain people, where I'm like, I don't get you. Well, they'll be like, you have to be open-minded. Like, I don't think you understand. I'm hella open-minded. I'm so open-minded that there's things I could say that I would argue for that might, like, because it's sensitive material, I'm not going to say it, like, because it might just, it's not the topic we're talking about today. But there's conversations I've had where people have been surprised that that was my standing. Like, they're like, oh, you would actually try and understand this person. You would actually try and say that they deserve help for this, and this reason. It's like, yeah, I would. Because there's an extent where I'm like, there's an extent that I feel like you just need the help, and I want to give it to you, even as someone who was victimized by this particular thing that I'm talking about. which is always when people try to argue about me with it that I do bring up because I am spiteful. I'll always I'm not big enough of a person where I won't throw down. Well, I was victimized by this, so actually,
Yeah.
I'm one of the only people in the world
If
who
you're
get to say
referring
I
to
have this opinion.
this sort of situation, I think you are. It's something
probably
that I
am.
can relate to as well. And yes,
Yeah.
I would agree with you.
I
Your stance on that.
probably
So
am.
yes. Yeah.
And we can confirm after we are no longer live. But yeah, I probably am. But yeah, it's like no, I am hella
You're
open-minded.
very open-minded. There's some things that you simply cannot budge on, and that's valid.
So it's like I'm the kind of open-minded where I'll say I'm open-minded as shorthand, but I don't normally like I don't like people who call themselves open-minded, because usually when somebody's saying it, if you say it too much, you are not actually. Because I know people in my life who they say it so much where I'm like, no, you are the least open-minded people I know. So I try to avoid saying it. But in the context of someone trying to tell me to be open-minded about people that I have judged, like I have family members like, you shouldn't judge people. And it's like, no, you are internalizing a lesson that was misunderstood. Like, no, I judge people. I do. I don't judge them immediately, but there are things that once I've judged you for that thing, you are never getting unjudged for it. But but I will defend myself saying, no, I'm open-minded enough that I will consider things that a lot of people, out of anger and understandable anger, won't consider. Like a slightly less triggering example, trophy hunting. There are situations where I'm okay with it. I don't like it, but I've heard arguments where it actually sounds like, no, that's a viable thing. The way it is done now, no. To explain it so I don't get too many angry responses.
I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious.
The argument for it is these animals that are endangered animals belong to the people who live there. Not like it's their property, but like they have to live near these creatures. They get to decide how to regulate them, basically. People from other countries saying you shouldn't do that, no, I don't want to hear that argument. But to get the actual defense for it is, for the people who live in these areas, they don't actually have an incentive to say, for the poorest people living, for example, poorest people living in certain countries in the African continent don't necessarily have the incentive to conserve lions or other endangered predatory animals because they are a danger to them and their livestock. They don't have an incentive for that. They have an incentive.
That's not trophy hunting.
No,
I'm getting
measure.
Okay.
What they will have an incentive to is if you give them a economic opportunity, saying if you take part in regulating these animals, taking care of them with their breeding in the wildlife preserves, and keeping them healthy, so that if there is a problem animal, some rich asshole from another country can pay a hefty amount of money that will go into your government and your local civil services. They can come and you can tell them which one they can have.
I'll give you that.
That's regulating. It's basically saying, these are your new livestock. You have to live with these animals, so you get to choose how to take care of them. And that actually is better for conserving them, because then the people who have to live near them are incentivized to keep them around. Like the example in the argument was used, like, for example, if there's a sick animal or a particularly aggressive rhino or elephant that's hurt people and is continuing to hurt people and other animals, they can say, all right, some rich dentist wants to shoot an elephant. We're going to take him out and he can shoot that one because we have to get rid of it anyway because it's a danger to the people around it. Like, they would have to destroy the animal anyway. That's just a fact. It's like, you cannot let a wild animal hurt people. So that is the way the industry could work. So like, it's a very narrow way it can work, but there is an argument for it to work if it's in the control of the people who have to live with these animals, and if it's actually done in a way that actually helps conserve them, because they have incentive to keep the population up and to make them breed. Like, there's areas where it's working. There are endangered animals that are maintained because they are able to control it in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a very specific context, but yes, it does exist.
Context. So, like, not just trophy hunting blanket statement is fine. It's not. I don't like it. I hate sport hunting.
Yeah.
But there are reasons in which you can use the jackass who wants to do it as a means to a better end. Like in rural North Carolina, there are so many deer. The deer are so overpopulated. They go hungry. They hurt people by getting in the roads. They eat up food for livestock or people's food that they're growing to feed themselves. So there's
Yeah.
hunting seasons where there's a bunch of people who go like, I'm gonna bag as many as possible. You're allowed to get you're only allowed to get a certain amount, but it
Yeah.
maintains the wildlife. Um, and there's organizations where people who are jerks who won't eat their own kill, they can donate the meat and it feeds the homeless. There's organizations for that.
It doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, like I still like the people who do like trophy hunting and stuff, I don't like them as people. I don't like people who think it's fun to go out and play a game and shoot something. It's like this isn't a game. You're shooting something. But I'm not going to say hunting should be illegal because there's a reason they do it. There's a reason that it's regulated. And there's a reason that it's good for the environment. Because too many of one kind of animal, when their predator no longer exists there, is a problem for everyone.
Huge issue.
Like human beings are a part of nature. We are not absent from it, so we are a part of regulating it. And since we're smart enough to do so, we should do it. And sometimes that involves hunting, which is that is the end of this segment on problematic hobby that I will defend. But yeah, I do you think eventually I'll ever get this live stream segment to a slightly more structured thing, or is this just the way that we exist? It's perpetual limbo of switching topics for a few hours at a time.
That sounds like the typical format, so.
It's like when I have something more planned out, I can I stay a little on topic. If it's broad enough, then technically I'm on topic the whole time.
Sure. Sure, when you leave it open like that, you get all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah. See, that's why I put like this week was the only week that I was like, this is the topic I have ahead of time because I'll change my mind like 6 times up until the day I'm doing the stream. But I thought
Sure.
I can fill a couple hours with New Year's plans or just talking about things we miss doing.
Sure.
But then things happen. I'm like, no, this is what I want to talk about now, and that leads to a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, that's how life works. So it's like good to have that flexibility should something come up.
I'll just say that I'm just gonna decide to. I like to think that people who join into here, who are follow my work and want to listen to me talk, are signing on for not knowing where the fuck I'm going next, because that's just the way I am.
So, Casey, where are you taking us today?
It's gonna be a journey.
Oh dear.
We're gonna start with heartfelt apologies for being late. We're gonna end up in trophy hunting defense, and the middle parts on that way have nothing to do with it.
Says I think it's more likely to give it a topic of I'll talk about whatever I feel like than it getting more structured. Accurate.
I'm just gonna say I am starting with this, and anyone who doesn't understand what that means is just gonna figure it out. It's gonna be a free associating journey.
There.
This is what you get for following somebody who has ADHD.
I mean, I always kind of see these streams as you just like hanging out. Like it's as if like have like a group of friends hanging out. Where conversation's gonna go all over the fucking place. Like that's just how it works.
I just like to have an idea of at least a starter topic.
Oh no, just having like a starting topic because I mean that's just it's a launching point. So.
But also like as a pre-warning, like if somebody might like if we're gonna start in an area somebody might want to listen to, or if we're starting in an area that might lead in a direction someone doesn't want to talk about today. Like that's the most I want from like that's really the only reason I thought about I should do topics besides the secret wish.
That's a good idea. Just give a general idea.
Yeah. Or just
where the day is headed.
That I were capable of being a YouTuber. Like I used to want to do that before I realized I don't actually want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I actually hate everything involved with it, but I still quietly go, I wish I could do a YouTube channel. I want to talk about things. and then I start doing videos. Like, I did one video that I still get notifications and follows because of. It was a little essay on bisexuality that I did in video form.
I remember that.
Yeah, like, but like, I realized while doing those videos, it's like, I don't actually like anything involved with this. I like writing the essays and I like talking about this, but I do not like a setup video. So, like, maybe podcast form is the way I could do things, or doing, like, D&D streams and live streaming that is loosely a podcast. It's the closest I can get.
Right.
Yeah.
Works.
I do have a podcast, Dad.
Good job.
Oh, help me.
I've always thought it'd be fun to do. I mean, I don't want to do like a full-blown gaming channel by any means, because
no.
that's a whole lot of work, and it's very oversaturated at this point. But just like doing that as like a hangout if friends wanted to come watch me play horror games or whatever. Like, I think it'd be fun to. I've been tempted to do it. See what happens though.
Just dipping your toe in with playing D&D.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, all those
like
videos
that.
are listed under gaming.
True. That's technically.
Maybe
It's funny because earlier today, huh?
Oh no, you go ahead. Mine was just a stupid thought.
Oh, go ahead. Carry on. It's fine.
Well, I was going to say maybe the reason my voice gets so quiet is because my face is pressed up against my tablet. So I told you.
Oh, are you leaning like really, really far away from your mic?
My nose is 3 inches from the screen.
Holy shit! Your poor eyes.
It's because I keep forgetting I can just zoom in. I treat it like paper and just lean closer.
That's terrible. That's so bad. No wonder your back hurts.
I never
Oh my
pretended there wasn't a reason.
Oh my gosh. Terrible.
You were saying?
That's funny. No, I was thinking about what was I thinking? Oh, D&D, yes. And then the comment you made yesterday about the style of tier that I play for the Thursday night games as opposed to the game that you're DMing.
Yes.
The Thursday night game, he's like absolute wild man, barbarian, go bathe myself in the blood of my enemies.
Yes.
As opposed to
Saturday,
where he's team dad, and he's like the logical one who's gonna sit down and we're gonna use diplomacy and we're gonna talk through this, and then if they don't want to talk, then we'll crack knuckles and start busting skulls. But just very different. But it's been fun to have the difference in dynamics in D&D and like how that works. So but your comment last night had me thinking about that today, and I was very amused. True.
Yeah, it's like, because on Thursday night, everybody else is an adult, and they're all sociopaths. So he doesn't have to be responsible.
Yeah. Everyone's been through enough shit that they're a little broken psychologically, so there's just no hope for that.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you're with the literal feral child. Oh, and two, technically, one technically child elf, an actual teenager, and Lauren is definitely the oldest, but she is the least experienced in the world that you're in.
Yeah. Very different situation.
Yep.
So the fun part is that they're both pretty believable for tier. You're not
no,
wrong.
They're both completely in character.
That is just two very different sides of tier. His professional work side and his I don't know what you want to call it, but that.
What was it that you responded that you had me dying last night? Where
Which part?
It was either an insult.
Was it his response? It was his response to Ferrith when the dragon turned to him and said in Draconic, "You filthy little bitch."
Yes.
He said, "No, that would be your mother."
I was dying.
Yes.
Like without missing a beat.
Yeah,
because that's the hard thing about improv is you have to think of the comeback right there.
I hate it. It's funny sometimes.
Yeah.
probably I hate it when you think about it after. And
I
you're
know.
damn it, that would have been so perfect.
Like, I want to retcon it in. I want to retcon it in. So I'm sitting there like,
I know, right?
playing a character that would have so much to say about everything, but I can only think about what she's supposed to say about a quarter of the time.
I think that's why I would have a hard time playing a bard that's supposed to be like that. Like, I wouldn't be able to, because I'm not able to be sharp enough for witty banter like that. I don't know. Every now and then I'm okay with it, but it's not consistent enough that I would be able to play a character like that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I get better with practice, because I already, like, I DM, so I have to get good at improv anyway. I have to play all of the characters.
I honestly am very impressed by the range of characters you play. I think you've gotten better already, so I think you're definitely learning,
Oh, thanks.
I would say.
It helps when I use some of my old random OCs as NPCs, because I already know what they would say.
I think that's great. I think that definitely gives you a foot up, being someone with that ability to create characters and stuff. It definitely helps going into something like this.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to learn how to do this with no experience of doing all of that. Oh.
Right?
I don't know. I can't imagine trying to do this without being, like, quote unquote creative minded.
I mean, there are styles of playing where you don't necessarily have to be. That's just not the way I like to play.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You could go by, like, guide and textbook definition of how these people would be and what kind of answer they'd give you. Very vanilla, I think, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, like some people, they barely like, I've heard of games where there's not really a lot of like RP at all. They just kind of describe
Mhm.
what the character's doing without like getting into character.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, if that's what you're comfortable with, sure. I like roleplay.
Yeah, exactly. Oz is just in here talking about that, and he said, which is why I usually do RP heavy hearts with RP heavy parts, single characters as written things, to do the NPCs some justice and give me time to think about how to make them express properly.
Mm, yeah.
I'm sad because we haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of RP in the Thursday group. We've had some great chances for the group that you're DMing. It's been really, yeah. I think that's very important, at least for what I would want to do in a game or a session.
Yeah.
I know some people don't enjoy the RP as much, but to me, that's the fun part.
Yeah. We're just in a place in the Thursday game where, like, there's too much going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, hell, we've been in combat for the past 3 sessions. It's been one continuous fight, so, like, I don't really get RP in that. That's understandable.
To be fair, it's a different fight now.
Technically, I'm just saying we haven't exited combat, technically. It's been a fight.
I'm making fun of Rob. I'm making fun of Rob for saying that last night.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, technically, yes, it's a different fight, but we went from one fight immediately into the next. There was no break to breathe. I'm barely clinging to life right now, but we're still doing this.
Oh, I've almost died so many times.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons where I'm like, do we have to fight this guy now, you guys? Let's just tie him back up again. I want to sleep first. Like, that sounds serious. Like, that was my... It's so bad.
Whole situation with the dragon after I fell through the ice. Whole situation of me attacking him. I did that barely clinging to consciousness.
Like, oh, God. That's why I was so worried. I was like, oh, shit. I can't reach anybody. I can't reach anybody! Like,
oh, we're all, like, spread out right now.
No, y'all fell down like 80 feet into the water, and I'm like, I only have warlock cantrips that can get that far. All my bard spells, I have no spell slots left. I can't help anybody. Like, I don't know if I sounded just irritable or not, but I was frantic. I was like, I can't help any of you. I can't help you.
I feel it.
Because I can't reach. I can't reach to hit anything, and I can't get a spell that far, and I'm out of spells.
You've got your stupid curse going on too.
Mhm.
Like, even if you could do stuff, you probably can't. So
Every time I crit, it would have been awesome, but I cursed. So when I
it
crit,
was so
nothing
sad.
happened at all. I was so mad.
It's so sad. I was like, that was perfect. And then he said, nope.
I would have won. I would have gotten the magic word. How you want to do it. The best 4 words of a combat. Because especially when it's a fight I'm sick of, I go ham on my flavor description. I'm like, no, I want to rip this guy's.
I'm tired of this guy. This guy's dying, and it's gonna be in glorious fashion.
Like on my Sunday game where I play Nick. He's not just an NPC. Like I got how you want to do it, and I was like, all right, well, I really hate this guy, so with one sword, I'm cutting off his fucking head, and the other sword, I'm digging right up into his goddamn spine. And the DM was like, well, fuck.
Yes.
Like, that's where I'm at right now, you guys.
Blowing off some steam, you guys.
So this is the character that can be savage, so he's gonna be.
Love it. Also, it can be hard to get some good RP in, and it depends on a lot of factors, like how much each character is developed, how much each player likes to act, and how much each player can act. Accurate. Getting ready to say something.
Huh?
We're getting ready to say something.
I was sitting here like, we have gone from from looking forward to sedition to Dungeons and Dragons. It always comes to Dungeons and Dragons.
I feel like it's a pretty safe topic.
Should that be the name of the not podcast that I have? It always returns to Dungeons and Dragons.
It was always Dungeons and Dragons. It's probably pretty accurate though.
Yep.
Sum it up, be like, we talk about a little bit of everything, but we always end up in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Especially if it's like anytime you've got someone on, it's gonna be someone else or I. Like, yeah, it's always gonna.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, but you would do that regardless. So you know.
There's no help for me.
Oh, doomed. No.
No, it's connected. No.
Oz says tabletop RPG is a way of life. Can't really escape it. It's becoming very true.
It's very true. I remember in college, Lindsay, we were talking about the fact that she made costumes. She's like, everyone has this one hobby that that no matter how good at money and every other aspect of their life they're at, everyone has the one hobby that eats up their entire life. For her at the time, it was cosplay. I have found my hobby. It is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Like I've had other like, in case you aren't aware, I have ADHD. So of course, I have had every hobby that I have ever come across that was remotely entertaining.
Yes.
The question is whether or not it has staying power. Dungeons and Dragons is got all of the fuel for staying power. It just does. It hits all of the things that I have never put away at the same time, and things that I do outside of it can feed into it.
It's true. It connects a whole lot of things you already have interest in.
Yeah. And it's like all things I already have interest in, and then a direct return to how I used to play. When I was a kid, me and my sister, we had, she had, we had toys that, they were bought for her for reasons, whereas I got a Barbie house. I had a Barbie house. My younger sibling had a cool as fuck Dark Lord looking dragon faced tower castle build. And I played with that all day instead. Like we would constantly be in their room just playing with it. And we would sit there and this is why I'm not surprised that she got into D&D, because we would, it's not at first anyway, because we would sit there and just play all day with the little figurines, these huge drawn out soap operas. Like, this is how I used to play, and now I'm sitting here like, you mean there's an acceptable way for me to play like this as an adult with other people who will play along? Because like up until D&D, the way I got that play out was writing. It was writing my stories and stuff. That you pretty much do it alone, and then people tell you what they thought of it after they read it.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it's very different. Whereas this is like, I get to play with other people again as an adult in a game I'm actually engaged in, because I hate sport ball.
That's different.
I don't like sports. It's not because I can't play them, because I actually can. I played softball growing up. I wanted to play soccer. I was surprisingly okay at basketball, and when no one was tackling me, everybody wanted me, after they saw how fast I could run, they wanted me on their team in flag football. But I absolutely despise sports because they're not fun for me. Like, it's running around games are fun for a short amount of time, longer amount of time if they're with people that I like, because I like running around people that I like. But like eventually I get bored because I'm like, there's no reason to this. There's no point. I am not engaged. Even worse when I'm watching it. Like, I've never been able to like watching sports. Never in my life, even when I was still absolutely loving playing it at the time. I hated watching baseball, and I loved baseball. I can't. It just is so boring to me. Like, I'm sitting here like, why? I don't care. There's no end goal to this except we got more numbers than the other people. But with D&D, it's like, I can make up a reason to play. The reason is the story. My investment is the plot. Like, I'm not getting more numbers than people. I'm saving the world. Thank you.
Yeah. Something important.
Yeah. Like, that's why I've never been able to understand people who are like really into sports. Like, I don't get it.
So I kind of got a glimpse of what it means because I've never been like a sports fanatic. I enjoy sports, come from a family that bleeds Dodger blue. Love baseball. So like I have like a certain fondness for it, but I'm not like oh my gosh, I have to watch every single game. I have to be involved in this. But I did get a small taste of what it is to be a sports fanatic when I got into esports. I got into watching Overwatch League because I like playing that game. Got a taste of what it's like to watch a team and to feel like a connection with a team because I freaking love the LA Gladiators. Shout out to my boys in purple. I love you guys. I do. I sit down and I watch every game.
Brought a sports shout out onto my live stream. Okay, go ahead.
Listen, it's esports. It's for nerds, okay? It's not for jocks. It's for nerds. Shut up. But yes, it's different, but it kind of gave a minor taste to be a sports fan, I guess. Technically.
I guess I can get that.
It's different because it's not. I don't know. I hate sports. Like, I'm with you on that. I hate sports ball. I hate how almost all of it is handled. I just think it's just so monetized and so. I don't know. It all just feels like one big commercial to me.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of why I hate it. And you're right, it's boring. Most of the time it's very boring.
It's so boring.
So boring.
Stop trying to sell me things and stop telling me I'm supposed to give a shit about who gets the ball in the hole more often.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's why I like esports, because it's something that I understand. I play the game myself. I understand the rules. So I'm coming from it as a perspective of, like, I know how this actually works, so I can follow. But if it's something I don't understand, I forget it. Oz made another comment and says he can officially say that he's spent half his life doing it, 15 years of D&D and similar games. That's a long time, dude. That's a lot of experience. That's a long time.
That's impressive.
It's really impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
We both were like, that's impressive.
That's impressive. I'm just now getting into it at almost 30, so I can say I've been doing it for 15 years. 15 years from now, it's gonna be funny. That's gonna be awesome, actually.
Yep.
Thought about that the other day. I was like, when people our age are like in senior centers, like, are we, instead of having like bingo night, are we gonna have like D&D nights and like Mario Kart tournaments?
I can't wait.
I hope so. I really hope so. Would be amazing.
That would be so fucking awesome. I mean, that's how I'm gonna be old. That's how I'm gonna do the old thing.
I think we will see that. I think people like our generation, when we hit like our senior years, is going to be so different. Of course, we say that. I know that seniors these days are their own thing and all that, and I'm sure people will look at us and be like, "Oh, they're so old and weird and quirky and all that." But
as long as I'm still playing the game that I like, I don't give a shit what they think
as long as I'm happy, I don't care. I mean, when you reach that age, yeah.
Like, I have been through too much, and we really have been through too much already.
We definitely have. Here, says that most of it was spent as a master, so not really playing. Wow. So you've been like DMing almost all that time? Oz, you have to DM a campaign for us now. Sorry, but you're not gonna get out of it.
You're gonna make our poor forever DM friend be the DM the time we finally play.
I don't care. Like, well, I mean, just for one, we're gonna play multiple games. I'm sorry, he doesn't have a choice in that now. He also says that would be a better kind of being old, but I guess it'll still look pathetic to the youngsters of the time. Oh, definitely. But
For
again,
sure.
I don't care. We'll have reached the right, do our thing at that point. So.
Yep, we are the generation of I don't think I should have to quote unquote grow up because I want things that make me happy since I can't have the things you said that I could.
Accurate.
Yep. I was thinking about that today, and back to stuff about therapy. I was thinking about that, like, you can't actually quantify which generation has had more trauma. Like, I don't think you can actually quantify
No,
it. I've heard
you
people
really
try,
can't.
but you can't. But because we've all
Trauma
gone through
takes different
something.
forms.
Yeah, like even in the generations where in the country they lived in, objectively not a lot happened nationally. They had to deal with the repercussions of everything their parents went through in the household because you inherit trauma. You do. And then there's the stuff you experience on top of that. But like, so you can't quantify it. But one thing I have noticed is we, as a generation, as a collection of generations, because it's not just millennials anymore, Gen Z, Alpha's still kind of little, but like we have experienced a kind of trauma that we cannot like that X and further back cannot relate to. They can't. Like they would reach points of being able to relate to each other. Like my mom can relate to her boomer family now in a way that she wasn't able to growing up because she just got old enough to rationalize how weird they are. But they can't relate to us because our trauma was defined by hella traumatic events nationally. But the difference in us in the way we experienced it is we had to experience it live on TV. We had to witness it as if we were
connected instantly, as opposed to news traveling several days later or being just very removed in how things handled. Like, this is the age of connection and social media. Like, it's basically like being there.
Yeah, and like in the repercussions of things that we saw on live TV, like there were people making comments about the aides grabbing the ballots. The people who making comments predicting, saying, "Oh, they were definitely millennials because they thought clear enough to grab something, whereas everybody else had never had to have a live active shooter drill in school." Whereas, and then I saw a photo of the aides walking with the things. They were really young. They were our age. Those women were our age. And I was like, oh look, it was true. So like we had to like the older among us had to see Columbine live. The earliest memory I have
Yeah.
of live news was I literally don't remember whether the towers or the space shuttle happened first, but I remember watching them both on live TV.
Yeah. I don't remember watching the news, but yeah, my first vivid, like really, really vivid catastrophe. I remember the towers, like super vividly.
I remember I had just gotten to school. We were in there, we were waiting for classes to start, and then, of course, everyone knows what time it happened. Classes didn't even start, and suddenly they were turning the lights off, wheeling in the box TV, and we were just sitting under our desks watching it happen, and while teachers were freaking out and figuring out how to get us home.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine that.
This was in rural North Carolina. The teachers were terrified. Like, everyone in the country at the time thought it was about to be their town next, no matter where the fuck they were.
I mean, yeah,
Because no one knew what was
definitely.
going on yet. Like, some people knew, of course, like, we'd been warned for we'd been told for actual months, maybe, if not longer, that they were going to try something. But like, yeah, like this is why we have the humor that we do that our parents don't get. This is why we think the way we do. This is why nothing I saw is like I don't know how to explain to my older relatives that no one under 40 thinks things will ever be okay again.
Right.
And we're
Like
just
we had a
we just live that
childhood, but
way.
our childhood was tainted by a lot of stuff that happened.
Mhm.
Like, sure, we've got fun memories and everything, but there's always that in the background that just kind of overshadowed or like gave this tint of this is a very grim reality.
Yeah, like we grew up going
That
this is
realization
yeah.
very early on.
Like we grew up going, this is crazy, this is nuts, I don't understand what's happening. I'll understand when I'm older and things will get better. Because we grew up on it will get better campaign, remember? Um, and then we became adults as it got bad again. Again on live TV. We cannot be the image of adult we were told we were supposed to be. Like we can't have anything we were told we were supposed to have. Or that we should want. So it's like no one under 40 expects things to ever be quote unquote okay. This is just the way we live. And I don't know how to explain that to my mother.
Really different.
Like she had friends who died in the AIDS crisis, and I don't know how to explain this to her.
Yeah. Oz says that he remembers precisely the moment when the towers happened. He said he remembers what he was doing at the time and everything. I don't have that many memories, so precise, you know. Crazy.
Yeah. And he's not even
He's not even in the US. That's what I asked him. I said, what was it like
here.
over in Europe? It's
He's
so
not
crazy
even
to think
from
about
here.
that. It's something that like that affected the whole world. And I don't want to say that as like some American that thinks that we're like, you know, somehow the center of attention. But like that was a big enough deal that like the whole world
No, it is
was
just a
watching.
fact that anything that happens to America affects everyone because of how much
It
we
does.
get in everyone else's business to the point where my
Yes.
parents grew up all over my mom grew up all over the world because her dad was in the Air Force and they were stationed all over the world. She went to high school in Germany because America is just everywhere. It's just a fact. It is a
I mean,
fact that we
I
affect
lived in Germany
everybody.
because yes, again,
Yeah,
a
like
military family.
same
So
thing,
yeah, I
same
get
thing.
that.
Like it's not even American exceptionalism bullshit. It's just a fact that we
No,
are in
it's just
so much of the
everywhere.
business.
Jeez, dude.
That's why anything that's our problem is everyone's problem. That's why Wednesday was everyone's problem.
Right. Yeah, everyone was watching that. Yeah. So sorry, guys. I apologize. Everything's on fire.
Mm.
It says it was all over the news. All other broadcasts were blocked. It was all about live coverage, extra news, and updates, and it felt pretty unreal in any case. Jeez.
Yep.
Be solemn. It's crazy. Everything that's happened. last 20 years even.
Yeah. I'm exhausted and I'm not even 30. Like, there's always the thing where you'll see the stories of elderly people reaching a point where they're like, you know what, I'm good, I'm done, I'm tired, I'm okay with it now, I've made my peace. Like, I will not say I've made peace with anything, but I'm definitely tired, but I'm not even 30. Like, I shouldn't be
I've
this
never
tired.
understood why people think that immortality would be such a gift. That sounds like hell.
It sounds
Let's
like
be honest
actual
here.
hell.
Literal hell. That sounds awful. I don't
The
I don't want to
idea
have to
of a
keep dealing with crisis after crisis. Please just let me go to sleep.
yeah, the idea of just the idea of eternity sounds like hell in whatever
Yeah.
form. Like just to have to exist that long. It's like
Yeah.
yeah. Of course, like
Well, it's just something.
you go ahead.
Yeah, it's something that you can't grasp. Like, let's be honest. Like, the
Yeah.
idea of it just makes your brain kind of shut down. You're just like, "What? No, please no."
Yeah.
I can't even conceptualize like what that would be like. Like that. No.
Not when I live in wait mode hell.
No. Oh gosh, no. No, when you come at it from that perspective, that's a whole new level of nope.
Yeah.
Uh.
But like, because like I've already talked in the past about how like my outlook on things is things have meaning because they're not permanent.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes things mean something. But so yeah, like the idea of eternity is like so not only would I be stuck in that I would wind up in that limbo at some point. I'd run out of things and be in limbo.
Yeah.
It would mean nothing. Like what
Yeah.
point is it if it's just there? If that's all that there is, what is the point?
Yeah, I think it depends on like what kind of eternity we're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
Like
depends
you're
on that.
saying.
It definitely depends on that. Like one a friend I'm not even gonna try to say a friend. My ex-girlfriend and I used to talk about spirituality and stuff, and she was much more spiritual
Huh?
than I am, and we used to talk about the idea that while while neither of us still adhered to the way we were raised, we like again she was more so than me, and I have since moved away from it at times, so I'm not gonna say I still think this way,
Right.
but at the time I used to say is like the way I that is interesting to think is less of an attorney and more of like a like you know how when you have a glass and you've seen glass blowers is they have a glass if it breaks they put it back in the kiln and bring it back out and it's a new glass but the pieces are still from the old glass. It's like it's the same but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like we were talking about reincarnation. I think I was saying I don't believe in
Okay.
reincarnation
Yeah.
but in this regard as in the pieces that were once me if they continued into something else it's still something else. It's not a next life but something is still there. That kind of eternity
It's
is like
fragments
yeah
continuing on.
it's like
I could see
so
that.
like each individual version still meant something, but the pieces keep going.
Yeah.
Ow. I just cracked my back. I don't know if the mic could pick it up, but that hurt.
I think I heard it.
Look at her in the ginger hair. Look at that fluff.
It's so sweet. I love it. The fluff.
Floof. She's a very neutral, as long as it's a green neutral person. I was trying to think of other colors to use. I was like, no, this is the color she wears.
It's just some people are earth tones. She's like forest tones
Yep.
specifically.
I will lighten her shirt though. Whoops, wrong layer. There we go. That's Morgan. I forgot something very vital.
You forget her freckles.
I forgot her freckles. I should be shunned.
Dare.
I'm a terrible mother.
How dare. He's gonna glue. How dare.
Just angry tear glare from somewhere in the ether. How could you forget the best part?
I don't know if you would argue best part, but like one of the best. I think he really likes her nose.
Well, we know he likes the hair. Like, that's without question.
Hair is definitely... The freckles are definitely up there, don't get me wrong.
Well, there's a
Oh, it keeps
reason
getting
it's
into
not her
buffering.
nickname. Huh?
Yeah, there is.
They're also, like, not as
Says-
stark. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, they're very subtle. Very just a light... No. It's more than a dusting, but it's still very subtle. Oz was just saying that after a set amount of time, the stream on YouTube just gets a bit wonky. Both tonight and last time, it just keeps getting into buffering after 2 hours or so.
Oh.
Are you still able to see stuff, Oz, or is it just does it like pause and get a halting? I can't.
Does it help if you refresh the screen?
You might try refreshing the page.
Let me check the stream. Yeah, the connection still looks good. Yeah,
I'm guessing it's just like
yeah, if
thing.
it's not a matter of refreshing, then it just means I need to actually keep to a time cap from now on.
Oh,
How long have we been on?
It's been over 2 hours.
Oh.
It stopped showing after the 2 hour mark for some. It's probably been like 2 hours. Last time we went to like 2.5 hours, so we went over 2 hours last time. Well,
yeah, we went for a while.
It was a time.
A long time.
Long time. Been doing a stupid uwu voice more since playing D&D with Jess. It's her fault.
I asked her why she did the voice. She said the reason she does it is because she's trying to emulate the fact that her character's teeth are in the way.
Oh, that's a good point. You kind of would talk different. You got sticking my fingers into my bottom lip to try and see how it would be, and that's kind of would talk like that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Trying to
I told her, I was like, why are you so ooh? She's like, because Grogar's got tusks. I was like, oh.
It's a valid point. I feel ashamed for not picking up on that detail.
Hey.
Little details like that. Damn it. There.
I'm trying to make the freckles so when I zoom out. You know what? That's fine. That's a fine color.
Said it halts for a few seconds, every few seconds, and he already did refresh it. I think it's just being stupid. It's also we're also in the evening for your time, so like internet traffic is picking up over there, so that might be part of it as well.
Probably. I'm trying to decide whether or not to. You know what? We're almost at the cap of an hour, so I'm gonna say that one ref this time is good. I'll do another ref next week.
Yeah.
Maybe more than one. Maybe some face sketches so that I'm sketching instead of like constantly lining one thing. I need to save this as something.
Please.
Or PSD. Pictures. Oregon ref 2021. All right. One thing I was thinking of doing is like for the next session, of course, another like reference sketches again. But I was thinking of it's gonna be a few weeks still because it's not until March. But yeah, you mentioned Liv mentioned the idea of doing a Q&A while doing pages for Saints Quarter, and I thought that would be a good thing to accompany the Kickstarter. So I think that come the Kickstarter, we're going to return to a weekly if possible. And I'll be working on Saints Quarter comment pages while accepting questions. I think that would be fun if I can get enough.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I think again, like what I'd mentioned, I think you should post about it ahead of time, give people time to engage and ask questions, and then I can like compile them and like S or I, whoever's doing it, can kind of give you those questions and you can answer them as you go. So
definitely, like I think I honestly just forgot to do it this time. I definitely just forgot.
Oh no, like I think it would fit really well for while you're doing comic pages. Honestly, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I'll be able to like with today's topics. I kept running into the
There's a
thing where
lot
I'd
going on
be-
today.
Yeah, I would be like yelling, and I would stop drawing for a minute
Yeah.
because I talk with my hands.
Uh-huh.
Like, it doesn't actually take me
Something that's a
almost
little
3
less
hours to do this.
right. Definitely your attention was divided, but it still worked out.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here at 4:52 my time, we are going to say all is done for now. Words, sign off. I don't have a sign off. We will be back again, not next week, but oh no, the 22nd.
A second.
The oh no was because that'll be another Wednesday of chaos.
Oh, right.
God.
Right. Oh no. We might have some interesting topics to talk about. And by
Uh,
might be, we will.
I really hope not, but we definitely will.
One way or another, I guarantee it. Hopefully not bad interesting, but like it'll be
Yeah. All right. Heavy, deep, tired sigh. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. I will Friday after next. Yeah.
sounds good. Bye. Be safe.
Bye. End stream. End.